Acting Commissioner, thank you for being here with us today, and thank you for your leadership in this very important issue to the entire nation. I represent Arizona's 6th congressional district. It's in the southeastern part of the state, so in the border with Mexico. I've had the opportunity to visit countless times with your OFO officers, with the CBP agents and the AMO agents as well. And I'm always very impressed with their grit, even through the hardest times in the last few years, just how they were able to show up and keep doing the job in spite of everything else going on. So I have a lot of pride in representing them in Congress. I have a large number of them in my district, living in my district. So it's I want to ask a question here on an issue on the EFRS issue that we're seeing. It's my understanding that federal law enforcement officers face mandatory retirement at age 57, which we know, but can retire earlier if they have 20 years in service and are over 50, or even younger if they have 25 years of service. This applies for law enforcement under CBP, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And how many CBP personnel do you have who are eligible for retirement today? And how many will be eligible in the next couple of years?
So just on the retirement issue, just start with, you're correct in regards to, so we have officers, agents, any other CBP law enforcement personnel. So at the age of 50 with 20 years worth of service can retire. At any age with 25 years worth of service can retire in regards if they're a Leo. In regards to our numbers of retirement, so we look at CBP has currently a little over 67,000 employees in CBP right now. If we look at our current number of those eligible to retire, we're somewhere right about 5,900 individuals that are employees that are able to retire. Within that 5,900 that are eligible to retire, we have another 3,300 of those that are Leos or law enforcement that are eligible for retirement.
Great, thank you for that. Under the federal employee retirement system that I mentioned, there's federal law enforcement officers receive a supplement to their annuity when they retire to bridge them until they become eligible for Social Security at age 62. Our colleagues on the House Oversight Committee recently reported out legislation as part of the reconciliation process that would have required a federal law enforcement officer to work until they are 57 to receive this supplement. I have a huge Border Patrol presence in my district, as I mentioned earlier, and I personally know agents who, because of injuries, really struggle to make it to retirement eligibility, let alone the mandatory retirement age of 57. Specifically, when I've gone over on the far remote areas of the border, and I realized the terrain that these agents are going up and down, and I've heard stories of how their knees give out at in their 40s sometime, and even earlier, and the injuries that they have. The Arizona border is a very unique border, as you know, in the southern part there. Because of, again, the terrain, some areas you can't even build a barrier because of that. It's very different than some of the other neighboring states. So anecdotally, I've heard from these agents and their retirement papers right now that they're putting in because they fear that they will not be able to physically make it to the age of 57, which is because of what I just described as well. So is this something that that you're tracking on that with the men and women working in your department? And how might this provision removing supplemental pay may impact your agency and also your recruitment efforts and retainment efforts?
Thank you for the question, Congressman. So we track retirements on a regular basis on what we're seeing in regards to employees putting in for retirement. In regards to anything that is added or taken away, obviously Congress will have that input on what happens next on whether or not any of the language or what that language looks like in reconciliation or anywhere else. I can tell you from my personal experience, anytime we have or there is discussion about potential impacts to employees' pay or benefits, there is some impact to that in regards to at least our current employees, right? When you start talking about impacts to current employees' benefits and pay, there is some impact and concern from our existing employees.
Well, I go back to my district every weekend, spend a lot of time out and about from on the field in football games or at the grocery store or church, and every time I right now talking to someone in the federal, as a federal law enforcement, this is the number one issue on their mind and what we're working on here. So something that we're addressing, and wanted to make sure what your thoughts were on that in terms, again, of the recruitment part, but also in the retention right now, given the numbers that you have and the ones that are eligible for retirement. This is the time that we need our workforce and our experienced workforce to be on this, and that's why I think it's important to fix that, and we will. So thank you, sir, for being here, and thank you for your testimony today.